Well, hello there, welcome back to another Pasio Tower video. Today we're going to be tackling a water tower floors 21 to 29. At the time of recording this, I have indeed completed floor 30, but you're just going to have to wait for that video because there's a lot to explain, and I kind of talk about it in that video, but I'll mostly talk about it in the description. But that will happen when that will happen. Honestly, the most difficult part about water tower, I thought it was going to be floor 27. Floor 27 requires you to use physical attackers. You cannot use special attackers. So my Neo Champion Mei and my Neo Champion Serena don't do much damage. But I do have Gloria, Dojo Gloria at 3 out of 5 copies. And yes, she is good enough at 3 out of 5 copies, as long as you have a good support staff, which in this case I am using Summer Cynthia and Neo Champion Serena. All the characters you see here are 3 out of 5 copies, and so decently invested on all the characters. But honestly, you're gonna want your Serena at 3 out of 5 copies anyway, so that you can use her for your special floors. And then for Cynthia, honestly, you might be able to do this without Cynthia. You may be able to do it with, for example, Signal Suit Chris. But I'm using Milotic here because in the model they were using Milotic. So in the model, I think it's interesting how basically in this particular run, they're using Cynthia as a flincher and as kind of someone that can increase damage. Because her water gun does flinch at, I think, 3 out of 5 copies. And you see here, they actually sync with, I think it's sync with Serena first and then Gloria. Now the reason why you want to kind of delay your Cynthia syncing is because when Cynthia syncs, you're going to be able to summon Rain, and when you summon Rain, that's when you want to do a bunch of your damage. So that's why you delay Cynthia's sync here. And then of course you're kind of mixing in water guns every so often so that you have the opportunity of flinching. This particular fight, even though you can only use physical attackers, that Houndoom is weak to water. And here, you do kind of want to target it here. Unfortunately, this person does get an unlucky flinch because you don't want to flinch the character when they're using their sync move. But now that they've synced with Serena and then Dojo Gloria, now they can go ahead and sync with Cynthia. And again, the reason why you want to do this is so that you can summon Rain to increase Dojo Gloria's damage. Yes, if you have a more heavily invested Dojo Gloria, or if you have other physical water attackers, those will suffice. But because I have Gloria at 3 out of 5 copies, it was perfect. I found this replay and I copied it because I had all these characters, so there would be no investment. Of course, that Dojo Gloria is level 200, so you will be using some Plaques of Perfection on her. And of course, you probably want to just use Plaques of Perfection on your Serena anyways, because she's going to be a huge help in your other water tower floors. And she's just a good character in general, so that's why that happens. With Rain, as you see here, they're actually doing pretty decent damage on that Houndoom with Rain. And then before Dojo Gloria uses a sync move, they actually use the first Sinnoh Circle. Now the first Sinnoh Circle here is going to further buff Dojo Gloria's attack. And here, before Rain ends, they actually use their Dynamax move. Now for me, I kind of like saving my Dynamax move kind of toward the end of the fight, but here they used it early because Rain was still up. They also are trying to do a good flinch chaining, and here is when they start flinching with Serena. Right before they use their second sync move, they are going to start to flinch with Serena. At the beginning of the fight, you're using quick attack to like lower the sync move countdown so that you can use it at good timings. But here you can flinch with Gloria. They also use Sinnoh Solidarity right before the second sync move. The thing about Sinnoh Solidarity is that it does give you a damage guard and a team damage guard as well. So basically what that means is that normally all your characters would eat the sync move damage, but with Cynthia, she's able to block it for your team, which is something super rare. But as you see here, the other Pokemon don't take damage, which is super good. And at this whole time, they just keep on attacking the middle Pokemon. and then water gun just to see if you can get some flinches in. And then of course they are interweaving the water shuriken and the brutal swing on the Greninja. You want to use water shuriken basically to lower defense, to lower like attack speed, stuff like that. And then the brutal swing is flinching. They got a lucky flinch there. They're able to flinch everybody up with the brutal swing. The brutal swing flinching is 30%, so it's not the greatest. The reason why they probably weren't using brutal swing earlier is to lower stats with water shuriken. But honestly, in my runs, I'm pretty sure I started using brutal swing a little bit earlier than this replay shows. And then brutal swing also does damage and can confuse, so that's going to be super important in some of the later runs. But I just kind of want to go through this showcase here. This I forgot what the Pokemon is, but the Pokemon that Grimsley has, I forgot the name of it. It can keep using Hyper Voice, and that Hyper Voice does a ton of damage on your Greninja and Urshifu. And so you really hope that it does a Dark Pulse, because Dark Pulse, your Milotic can tank a few Dark Pulses. As you see here now, Tyranitar is going to start just using Giga Impact, and at this point, this person's run is pretty good, because I don't even think their Milotic has been knocked out even once. And then they can still flinch with Water Gun and Brutal Swing, because Milotic has that. The Peak Summer Muddy Water is also nice because it fully lowers accuracy. And so if you fully lower accuracy, if you raise your evasiveness, because Cynthia can also raise stats when she attacks with her Muddy Water. The Giga Impact does have a good chance of missing. You can see here it actually triggered, but that doesn't really matter because Milotic is able to res herself. And that Tyranitar is only going to use Giga Impact, so you're just going to be basically wailing on it, flinching it if possible, hoping for flinches, hoping for confusion, hoping for the Tyranitar to miss, and then all the while just getting in a bunch of damage. So you really want to knock out the other Pokemon first, and there you go. So it's pretty easy sequencing in my opinion. You just kind of have to get lucky with the flinches with Milotic early, and then the flinches with your Greninja early. And then here you go. You see me doing basically the same sequencing on 421, and the HP is going to be a lot less. So this battle, it was a lot easier than 427. I will say that most of my resets from 21 to 29 were with this team. I had a lot of resets. I think 21 I reset like a few times, maybe 1 or 2 times. 24 I reset like a few more times. And then 27 took me a while to complete the run that person just did. Again, basically, you just have to get really lucky with your flinches. And then it was, with Urshifu, I started not, like, you don't see it in this replay, but you see it in 427. What I started to do was I started using Surging Strikes on all the Pokemon, because Surging Strikes not only lowers speed, but it lowers defense. And so what I did is that I would fully lower the middle Pokemon speed and defense, and then I'll start attacking the side Pokemon early on in the fight, because early on in the fight you're not doing that much damage. So basically I'm just using Surging Strikes on the side Pokemon just to lower speed and defense. And what that happens is, because everybody has such a low speed, that it actually starts taking time for your opponent to use moves. And because it takes time for them to use moves, because all their speed stat is all the way down, you have more opportunity to use moves. So that's what I do later on. You're not going to see me do it in fight 21 or 24, but it's something I learned, and I think that doing that does make your run a little bit better. Also, if you don't fully, because if you don't lower the stats on all the other side Pokemon, then when you go ahead and use your sync move, it's not going to do that much damage. So if you already have all the defense and speed lowered on all 3 of the Pokemon, then it doesn't matter when you time your sync moves, you're always going to get, you know, the max buff that you can from that sync move. And that's basically it talking about the physical team here. The Urshifu doesn't do that much damage, and it's funny because Urshifu does have the opportunity to flinch. Ironhead does flinch, and so that didn't really come up for me that much. But you have all 3 Pokemon on this team can flinch, so if you really want to flinch Cheese, you can, because you have Water Gun that can flinch, You have the brutal swing that can flinch, and brutal swing can flinch at 0 copies, or at 1 copy I should say. Like, that's not a synchro tile, that's not something that you need a heavy investment in Serena on. So you just need like 1 copy of her and you can flinch. Now obviously I don't think you can get far with only 1 copy of Serena, but keep that in mind that, you know, if you just want to do Water Tower, you do have an opportunity of flinching with Serena. And of course, Iron Head is a flinching attack, and so Dojo Gloria can flinch with Iron Head. So all in all, not terrible. Not terrible flinching potential that you have with this team. I say not terrible is really strong. And then later on, I'm going to show my special team, which also has triple flinchers. But I'll get to that when I get to that. Is there anything else I want to say about this team? As you see here, I actually knock out the second Pokemon, the middle Pokemon, before I do damage on the side Pokemon. Generally, you don't want to, or usually you don't want to do this, because when you do this, when you knock out the middle Pokemon, your side Pokemon start doing a ton of damage. And so as you see here, I am kind of panicking, and I use my Dynamax move after Rain, which is unfortunate. And then I'm trying to flinch with Brutal Swing and Water Gun here. Urshifu does know fighting moves, and so it's like, well, is fighting move good against the Scrafty, or should I use my Surging Strikes? Because water moves, there's no stab in this game, so like maybe using a super effective move is better. But I also do have Gloria's kind of her premium lucky skill. So if you don't know, in Pasio Tower you get cookie drops, and there are a few units that have like super premium cookie drops, and Gloria is one of them. So basically every time she attacks, you might notice that I'm increasing her physical move up next effect and her sync move up next effect. That is something that she's able to get with that lucky skill instead of critical strike. It's probably better than critical strike 2, simply because you're getting a lot of extra damage in, not only with your normal moves but with your sync. And you can see here my sync up next effect is stacked to 9 right now, and so that means the sync move is going to do a ton of damage. So it's kind of just like, it's probably better, and I do end up using close combat here. And as you see here, flinching with the accuracy, or with the accuracy down, they miss a lot of their moves. And I actually do end up using close combat instead of the Surging Strike, because it just seems like it would do pretty good damage. But that's it for my physical team. I don't really have much else to say. When it comes to my special team, I was using, I don't think I used it in this fight, but I ended up using, I guess I should talk about my lucky skills too. So yes, Weather Warrior on the Serena. I ended up switching this to Critical Strike 2. I also went through like 3 different sync grids with Serena, so that's like the physical one. Gloria's Focus of Effort, that's the sync grid for Gloria, nothing crazy. And she is level 200. And then my low tick, I just had Vigilance. I'm sure you can have other more relevant lucky skills on Cynthia, but I just went with Vigilance. And all those were level 200. When it comes to special, I went ahead and leveled up my May to level 200. And for some reason, I'm still using Cynthia. But May at level 200 is super strong. The thing about May, you can see my sequencing here. The reason why I'm trying to paralyze with Thunder is because I have some skill gear that makes me do more sync move damage if the enemy Pokemon is paralyzed. So that's why I'm trying to paralyze them first. But with May is actually really strong in a few things, in a few ways. One, she has EX Rain. Now I didn't know this about EX like Field Rain and Terrain, but like you can keep adding on to it. So if you use Rain Dance when there's EX Rain, it actually extends the EX Rain. Like normally when you use Rain Dance and then you use Rain Dance again, it like resets the timer. But for EX Terrain or like Weather, it actually adds on to the timer. And so that's what makes EX Rain super strong. And now like I understand why people talk about EX, kind of any EX Terrain, any EX Field is super strong. I understand it now. But so the thing about Mei is that she sets up EX Rain, and so if you use her alongside Signal Suit Chris, which I don't win this battle, but if you use her alongside Signal Suit Chris, it means that your EX Rain lasts a lot longer. And then when you go ahead and you use your sync move with Mei, because she is a field character, she's gonna extend Rain even more. So it's super strong with Mei to have the EX Rain. That's the first thing, right? The second thing she has that's strong is Starry Sky of Glory. It's her trainer move. Basically what her trainer move does is that it increases the next sync move. It gives the sync move up next effect. And basically because Serena is so powerful, like her sync move already does a lot of damage. If you use Mei's trainer move on Serena ends up doing a lot of damage, and then Mei's sync move also ends up doing a lot of damage. And then the reason why you want to do that is because Serena has the support EX role, and so when you sync with Serena, you're gonna get extra. You're gonna get that extra sync move buff. So that's super strong. So basically, what you want to do is you want to like sync with your support character, and then sync with Serena, and then sync with Mei, and then potentially after that sync with Mei again or sync with Serena again. So that's kind of like the sequence thing, right? And of course, who can forget about Blue Origin Pulse? If you played multiplayer, you've seen Blue Origin Pulse. Maybe you are a dirty Blue Origin Pulse user. I myself am indeed a dirty Blue Origin Pulse user. Ever since I got Neo Champion Mei, she has not left my multiplayer team. Just because Blue Origin Pulse is so funny in multiplayer. But Blue Origin Pulse is a guaranteed flinch, which is super strong. I think because Blue Origin Pulse guaranteed flinches the entire team, it allows you to kind of plan out, like the sequencing of your team can really vary. As you see here, I didn't even end up using Blue Origin Pulse, because Blue Origin Pulse, you can only use it when you have EX Rain up. So that's why it's super important to have a character like Signal Suit Chris to extend that Rain up time. And so because of that, if you mistime your EX Rain and you let it end, you cannot use Mei's Blue Origin Pulse. So not only are you missing a ton of damage, but you're missing that guaranteed flinch. So her guaranteed flinch is super important. In kind of the sequencing I do from 21 to 29, I use that Blue Origin Pulse pretty late. As you see here, I'm only using 1 out of 5 Chris. I find out after this battle that my Chris isn't even 3 out of 5, because I was planning on 3 out of 5ing her on camera so that you guys can see it. But as you see here, like the sequencing here is I do Rain Dance, I do Starry Sky of Glory. You can see here with Serena, I also use Brutal Swing with Confusion. So like I said, I'm using 3 different sync grids on Serena. One of them is for water, one of them is for physical, or one of them is for special, one of them is for physical, and one of them is for like your opponent needs to be affected by a status condition or status change, or they won't take damage. And so I decided to weaken my Serena sync grid just so that I can confuse with Brutal Swing. And then I'm using Rain Dance here with Sweet Tune, right? And it gets extended because of EX Rain. Yeah, bottom line with Blue Origin Pulse is that during these fights, I use Blue Origin Pulse for that guaranteed flinch after the first sync move, after the opponent's first sync move. But you'll see later that I actually use Blue Origin Pulse earlier. So in my floor 30 run, I use Blue Origin Pulse pretty early, just so I can guarantee that flinch early. And I think that's super important. But again, Blue Origin Pulse, because it guarantees flinching, you can kind of use it whenever you want, and it will be very strong because it guarantees the flinch. Now let's talk about Chris. Chris, at 3 out of 5 copies, you want her at 3 out of 5 copies. At 3 out of 5 copies, she is able to MP refresh Rain Dance, which means that she has a lot of opportunity to set up Rain. The bad thing about Chris is that she isn't able to extend Rain Dance time with her sync grid, which is really unfortunate. You have Mei that extends rain uptime, but I think you get that at 4 out of 5 copies or 3 out of 5 copies. I think I don't remember what copy of Mei makes it so that she extends rain, but obviously you want that sync grid tile to extend rain. But the cool thing about Chris is that even though she can't extend rain, after she uses her sync move, she gets another rain dance like MP refresh. Like it MP refreshes without needing the sync grid tile MP refresh, which is super strong. So basically with Chris is you just want to keep on using rain dance. If you have EX rain up, you can just freely use rain dance with Chris and it just adds to the EX rain timer. And then after you sync with her, because she is a support sprint, I guess, sync mover, and so when you sync with her, you basically, like, she's the first character you want to sync. It refreshes rain dance and it gives you more opportunities to get your rain dance MP refreshes. I found that with Chris, you actually want a lot of rain dance MP refreshes. Like 1 or 2 isn't enough. You want like 3 or 4. Like you want a lot of rain dance MP refreshes with Chris, and that can be very difficult. And if your rain ends early, especially with the Serena Mei team, if your rain ends early, you do significantly less damage, especially with Mei. Because with Mei, she actually has a Weather Warrior in her sync grid. You can see here, I don't have anything on Chris. I'm like, wait, I forgot to upgrade her to 3 out of 5 copies, and I forgot to do her sync grid. You can see that slow zoom in. But, what was I saying? I drew a blank. I was talking about Cynthia. Rain? Was I talking about Rain? What was I even talking about? Okay, we're back to the physical team, but like with Chris, yeah, it's important to get that Rain MP refresh. And if it runs out, oh yeah, I forgot. I remember what I was saying. Because Mei has Weather Warrior in her sync grid, she does significantly less damage without rain. And then you also have to decide what lucky skills you're using. So when it comes to the final fight, basically what ends up happening, 430, but some of the later floors, if you run out of rain, it's basically you don't do enough damage. This team is like you do most of your damage in your rain, and then when rain ends, you lose a significant amount of your damage. And so you have to decide, do you want Weather Warrior on your characters, or do you want Critical Strike on your characters? Critical Strike is technically less damage than Weather Warrior, but it's more consistent, in which case what I'm trying to say is it happens outside of weather. Like it can trigger outside of weather. If you have Weather Warrior, yes, it's more damage, but it's only more damage when you're in weather. So if you end up running out of rain because one, your Chris didn't have enough rain dance MP refreshers, or 2, the fight's just lasting so long that you just run out of rain and your Chris died, you have to make a choice of what lucky skill you use. I found that running Critical Strike 2 on my Serena was good, and Weather Warrior on my Mei was good. The reason why I say this is because if you don't have enough rain, then you probably can't complete the fight anyways. You need to get very, very lucky with your rain MP refreshes for you to even complete the fight, and might as well try to take in as much damage as possible, thus bringing in the Weather Warrior on your Mei as a lucky skill. But your Mei ends up getting knocked out first. I noticed that Mei has less HP and defense than Serena, and so oftentimes your Mei is going to be the one that gets finished off first, and then Serena ends up sticking around longer. And again, if Serena's gonna stick around longer, then I'd rather her have the lucky skill that works outside of rain, because at that point, if Serena's the last one alive, there's probably very low chance of rain being active, but I still want her to do some sort of damage, especially sync move damage. And so I think the best thing to do is to give Serena Critical Strike and to give your Mei Weather Warrior. If you want to go greedy and you really want to play with luck and you really want to reset runs until your Signal Suit Chris gives you all of the Rain Dance MP refreshes, then yes, you can go with Weather Warrior on both your characters. If you want to go more consistent and like you want to have any chance at the end of the fight, at very late in the fight when you're all out of rain, then go for Critical Strike 2 on both your characters. Or if you want kind of a balance of both, then you give one character the Weather Warrior, which is Mei, and then you give one character the Critical Strike, which is Serena. Again, I found this to be a very important decision, and so I ended up giving my, like, I switched it around. Like, you'll see throughout the run, I always show my lucky skills after the fight, and so sometimes you'll probably notice that, oh, it's Critical Strike this fight, oh, it's Weather Warrior this fight. Like, it changes. And of course, if you're using Serena on physical stages, then of course you want Critical Strike 2 on the physical stages for sure. And, I mean, do you? I guess you do. Yeah, if you're going to use this team with my low tick and Urshifu, which doesn't have a lot of rank time, you probably just want to end up using Critical Strike 2 on those floors. But when it comes to the floors where you're using Rain and Chris and Mei, then you might want to switch to Weather Warrior. But that's just another very important thing that I thought I would mention, is the whole lucky skill dilemma. Like, what lucky skills do you use on your attackers? Weather Warrior or Critical Strike? I think that kind of covers everything I wanted to cover. I don't think there is much else to say. Yeah, for Urshifu is lucky because on 21 there was somebody weak to fighting. On 24 there's someone weak to steel. And on 27 there's someone weak to water. And so you can basically use Urshifu and have, you know, a super effective matchup on each of the floors. Which means that your Dynamax move will always have a super effective target as well. So if you want to maximize the value of your Dynamax move, there you go. I'm trying to think if there's any other talking points. I don't think there is. The rest of the talking points is specifically for 430. But when I talk about that, I'll probably mostly write in the description because I couldn't really record too much in the video. Why? Did I really win this run? Like, are you guys seeing this run that I'm seeing? Like, all my Pokemon are down. And, oh, I got a lucky Confusion trigger. Ooh, I got a Sync move trigger here. Oh, this is a lucky run actually. I guess this almost, oh, that does knock out the Klefki, and I guess I dodged this Giga Impact. Oh my gosh, this was a lucky run. Anyways, I think the last thing I wanted to mention was I'm pretty sure one of the later floors against a fighting person, they were using a lot of fighting moves, and so never, if you have a trouble with a particular floor, and I learned this during Fire Tower, but if you have trouble on a particular floor, like they just keep knocking out your Pokemon, go ahead and use the lucky cookies and get the guard skill. Like there was like a fight that was using a lot of fighting Pokemon. Let me see if I can find it here. I should be able to find it. I think 28. Yeah, I think 28. For 28, I used fighting guard on my, wait, I have vigilance. 29. Okay, 28 and 29 both have fighting. You can go ahead and use fighting guard on floor 29. That's what I did, and you'll see it later on in the video. And the reason why I did that was because my Chris was just taking way too much damage. Anyways, that's it that I want to talk about with water floor 21, 29. It's pretty difficult. It's definitely one of the more difficult runs that I've done. And you can see here I'm actually doing my Chris's sync grade because I didn't do it earlier. So yeah, it's one of the more difficult ones for sure, and there's a lot of RNG because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention another thing too, the flinching. I mentioned that the physical team had 3 flinchers because Urshifu can Iron Head, Cynthia has staggering on her water gun, and Serena has staggering on her Brutus Wing. Well, the same is the case with the special team. You know, Mei has flinch with the Blue Origin Pulse, which is guaranteed. And Chris actually has staggering 2, staggering 2, does that make sense? So, Chris has staggering 2 on Brian, and then Serena has staggering 2 on a brutal swing, right? Does that make sense? So technically Chris can flinch, and actually you notice that I don't actually use flinching on my Chris. I literally just made her lucky, her sync grid there, but I don't have flinching on my Chris. I decided to go with more healing when it comes to floor 21 to 29, but on floor 30 I do have flinching with her Brine. So basically, if you really want to maximize your flinching, you can flinch with Chris, and then you can kind of like pray and do the chain flinching. Chris is actually pretty good at chain flinching. I've noticed that I can get the flinch cheese in pretty consistently with Chris. Almost as consistent as like Signasuit Lyra. So she's very good at flinch chaining, but notice that her flinch is 30% instead of 100%. And so while Chris can flinch, it's a super low likelihood, compared to like the guaranteed flinch from Blue Origin pulls. So that's just another thing to consider. You have a lot of different sequencing options that you can have because of Blue Origin pulls 100% flinching, and Brine flinching, and Serena also flinching. So with this special team, it's really good at flinching. And of course, I don't think I mentioned this, but this special team that you see right now with May, Chris, and Serena is the team I use for floor 30. I did not use Cynthia or Gloria in floor 30, but I'm sure you could if you have them at high investment. Okay, now that's really it. Thank you for watching, you beautiful little way you are, and I'll catch you in Water Tower floor 30. That's a fun one. You don't want to miss that one. I recommend it.
Thanks so much. That was the best.
Let's just get this over with. Let's do
Here
this!
we go, friends. Together! Now! Try this!
Okay, fine.
Surf's up! Now! There! Here I come!
May the best trainer win. Now, here we go!
There! You can do it!
This is it.
There! Let's fire it up! Do your best! Now! I won't lose!
so long.